Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty.
And ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast. We are here today on a special episode with a special interview with some special guests. And let's get right into it. But let me introduce myself. I am the man of the hour, the man with the power. I am too sweet to be sour. I am the Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg, at your service. And I am hosting today's festivities. I hope you guys will enjoy my hosting as we get on this ride. And with me is the conductor of this ride. He is the musical mastermind of Connecticut. He is the master of the growing of certain greens. Depending on what you think.
Tomato season, baby! Woo!
He is the leader of the colony. He is Sean McCarty.
Oh, that's me.
The colonist.
Oh, hello. I must admit though, Sky, I thought you were introducing the other member of this group because he's the one who really knows how to make tomatoes happen. I am just a purveyor / consumer. But you have in your presence the wholesaler of not just tomatoes, wink, but also
Wink.
a man who has actually been to more wrestling shows than either of us in the past 6 months, which is actually pretty wild. But this time I got to join the ride. Skylar, tell us who's with us.
Well, while you may be a master of the maker of the greens, he is the mentor of the master of the maker of the greens.
Hey.
He is the man who is so smooth. The Chinese ask him how to make silk so smooth as him. He is the man who can make anything out of nothing. And that's anything out of nothing.
Yeah.
Wink, nut, nudge. He is Abizzle. A-B-I-double-Z-L-E.
Yeah! Woo! Okay.
I'm jazzed. I'm so jazzed because I've been saying that on the plug every time, waiting to do it in tandem with somebody, and it's finally happened. We are breaking ground here today, and we are out in the streets celebrating, unlike the street fight that took place in Bridgeport. But let's get to that, shall we?
Yes. So we're recording the day of Summerslam. I do want to mention that because that could be a new episode next week if we decide to talk about it.
Stay tuned.
Word.
Stay tuned. But one of the things that drove us to do this is because we've been watching wrestling on television and we've been critiquing. I can't do it.
Well, you can do anything you set your mind to, sir.
There we go.
There we go.
Anyways, we've been critiquing wrestling from afar on the television screen. But wrestling, like any other medium of entertainment, needs to be experienced in person. And Abizzle, my man, you've been doing some of that yourself, going to SmackDown and Raw these past few months, haven't you?
Dude, seriously, yeah, man. It's been a while.
And we're going to add another show to your list. And Sean, believe it or not, this is the first time you watched a wrestling event live from WWE in years. Isn't that right?
I think the last time, it was actually 19 years ago in 2003 that I went to my last wrestling house show. And here we are in 2022, breaking the streak at 19-1, which is not as impressive as The Undertaker's 21-1. But The Undertaker was not on the show. But we did have a very interesting time in Bridgeport, and I had never been to Bridgeport before, so this was a new experience for me.
Yeah, this is the first time
have you been to Bridgeport before?
Yeah, this is my second time at Bridgeport. The first time was on my first ever wrestling show, seeing SmackDown when I was in high school. Me and Sean did the interview about that show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. We were talking about The Undertaker and Booker T that you got to see, way back in the day.
And the guy that raps, "What's up? What's up?"
Yeah, R-Truth.
He's all dancing. Yep,
Wait,
he's dancing in the audience.
Yep.
Oh, man.
What a time to be alive.
That was so sick.
We're going to talk about the live event. Now, what day did this happen?
This was the 23rd of July, which was a week ago at the time of recording, like 9 days ago at the time of airing.
Okay, so this happened on Saturday, July 23rd. Now, let's talk about the experience of going to the arena first. You and Abizzle went together, right?
Yeah, we went with, there was a couple of us. And Amir, do you want to talk about Steve and Tristan? Because they're more like, I'm not saying they're not my friends, but they were your friends first.
I didn't hear you. What?
No,
talk about Steve and Tristan.
Yeah, no, you were saying you want to just talk about Steve and Tristan a little bit? Because we went together, but we also went with friends of yours who are now friends of mine because of our love of wrestling.
Oh, yes. Steve and Tristan. I don't know why I thought you were talking about a wrestler. I was just like sitting here.
Steve
like,
and Tristan.
A wrestler came by.
NXT's debut of Steve and Tristan.
No, they're cool fellas. Steve is the one that actually got me back into it. And he got me back into wrestling and invited me to shows. He's actually invited me now. I could ask colonists, but AEW, there's going to be another show coming up, and he's inviting me over.
Oh, Lord. We'll see about that. we'll see.
I don't think Sean is going to pay money to go watch AEW.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
Hold
it's
on,
a weird time for wrestling, so maybe.
I'll be right in. I'm still here.
But I do have to say, and I'll kind of jump in from here. Steve is a really good dude. His house is ridiculous. He is like the merchandise king as far as the stuff he's been able to get, the people he's met. He is definitely a more avid smark than either of us, even though we have a successful podcast. And then Tristan is a guy that was friends with Amir in high school. I think went to that show with him in 06, and he was also a really good guy. He really is kind of like a little more reserved, but definitely comes out of his shell in that environment. They were super cool to hang out with. It was really fun just getting a squad of guys to go in there to go watch some pro wrestling. So,
of the four of you, we could probably say that Abizzle is probably the most casual, correct?
I would say so. I mean, well, not of late because he's been lapping us, but of late, yes, he's been the one who's been more in it than not.
Okay, fair enough. So, can you guys describe the atmosphere of the arena sitting down in your seats? How close were you guys? Because you showed some pretty good pictures.
We were fairly close. Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
We were on like the first rafter, about like row 5 or 6 up.
Yeah.
And like the audience, the crowd was feeling it. Like I really enjoy one of the biggest things, like waiting for the show to start when it's all dark. You hear someone go, woo! And then everybody around, you hear, woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
I love that. That was a cool. I saw that at Raw when I went that couple weeks ago. That started happening. It didn't happen in Brooklyn, but in Connecticut shows, people like going, woo!
Yeah, a lot of Ric Flair love here in CT. And yeah, just to kind of add on that, I don't know if we could have gotten better seats. Because it was a perfect vantage point to be able to watch and like critique and be able to like see everything going on from the ramp all the way to the other end of the ring. Like there was nothing that you missed from the seats we had.
By the way, I should say that the woo thing is not exclusive to wrestling. It's also in sports. It happens a lot at Sharks games. It also happens a lot at Giants and 49ers games too. So it's a little interesting how Ric Flair has transcended wrestling. But of course, he's always going to be remembered for doing the thing in the squared circle.
Yes.
Woo.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of woo going around, and that brings me as a good segue to note that this was the second show that WWE had perpetrated since Vince retired. And you could hear the buzz in the arena about it. I was catching little pieces here and there of people talking, and there was definitely a lot of Vince chatter, which we've had quite a lot of here on this podcast, but that also added to the mix, because I was very interested to see what the atmosphere would be like in that respect with that monumental change happening just a few days earlier.
Right. Now, it should be stated, of course, that because it only happened a couple days afterwards, there's probably not going to be that much change.
There wasn't.
and that's the thing, is that the change that we're talking about is going to be long-term change.
Yes.
It's going to be stuff that happens years down the line.
Yeah. And that's something that we were not going to get in Bridgeport. But I do have to say, there, as far as like the crowd, the stadium wasn't sold out, but they were passionate.
People were really feeling it.
Yeah, they were cheering people and booing people, and they were having themselves a good old time. And just another thing about the people, I suspected, because most of the wrestling shows I'd gone to were independent shows, which were like Northeast Wrestling, you know, at the North Haven Fair, or in the PAL building in Waterbury. It's mostly neckbeards. I have to say, though, WWE in Bridgeport was a different story.
Oh, baby.
It was a much different story. There were not only Skylar, not only were there women, but there were good-looking women there.
Yes, baby.
Which further adds to, like, the statement that WWE says all the time is that their demographic is a lot bigger than the most audible demographic. And that was really shown here tonight, I thought. It was a lot more of a hodgepodge of people of all ages coming to see the show.
So it wasn't strictly a male-only audience.
Correct.
No, sir.
It was not smark-filled, although there were smarks in it. It was not just a bunch of smarks. There was a very much a diverse group of fans were there, and it was very exciting to see.
The other thing that I want to get into before we talk about the matches was the setup. So how did the arena look? How did the ring look? How did the stage look? And also, how were the merch?
The merch was actually not bad. I mean, pricey, as all merch is, so, like, I didn't buy anything. But, you know, they had some title belts, and they had T-shirts, and they had, like, Cena wristbands, and whole sorts of stuff. And, you know, we went...
A lot of 316s.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. The Austin milking doesn't stop. Bridgeport 316 T-shirt. And that was, and you know, another thing I want to add, the ring setup, Sky, it really wasn't that much different than what you see on television, except the ramp was way shorter.
Well, obviously, because they're in a smaller building, you guys are in the Bridgeport Arena, which is basically the home of the Bridgeport Tigers of the American Hockey League, the minor league team for the Islanders.
Yep.
It only seats, like, what, 6,000 people?
Something like that. And I would say it was, what, maybe, like, 2/3 filled, maybe? Something like that. It was something...
I mean, it's a 10,000 seat arena, but depending on the stage taking up maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 people.
There was a good amount of people at the show, but I do have to say one of the funniest things about the whole show was we got there like a good, I don't know, half an hour before the show started, maybe like 45 minutes, and we had all stopped at the liquor store and gotten a few nips because we were not going to watch none of us were willing to watch WWE just stone cold sober. So we all got a few nips, and we were just in the parking garage, all of us drinking nips, but you look around and everybody's doing it. Like, everyone around the whole parking garage was full of people taking nips, smoking J's. Like, they're like, we're going to get good and real damn good to come and watch this show. And it was just so funny because it was like, who would have thought that this many people, that's what the state of wrestling had become at that point, was that most fans needed some sort of inebriation to really get it on.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you're watching shitty wrestling, or good wrestling, depending on how you think about it.
Well, the matches are definitely going to be, there's quite a lot going on with the matches that it was still a mixed bag. You know, that's the way I would call this show, but it definitely started hot and ended, well, we'll get there.
Well, how many matches were there?
Well, let me go through the list. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I didn't watch, and 7, which I didn't watch.
Okay, so let's go at, 7 matches. Well, let's get into the first match. So what was the first match of the evening? We
started the show, and AB, hop in any time when you're feeling something you want to add. We started the show with The Miz.
My mic was muted this whole damn time.
Oh, no.
Oh,
welcome
I'm so
back.
mad I said so many things.
I bet you did. Welcome back.
Oh, my God.
Tell us more about that. All right, well, AB, say what you got to say.
What point did you hear me talk about the audience?
No. Maybe.
We heard the audience part.
Okay,
the audience part a little
bit. We
We
were talking about the women, but I was talking about everybody getting liquored up beforehand.
Yes, and then I was like, everybody drinks until it gets good. And then about the stadium, I know something different about that stadium, which was like when I was there for SmackDown, maybe because it was a dark show. SmackDown years ago, they did fireworks. This show, they didn't do any fireworks.
Which was good because it's a small arena.
Yeah.
If they did pyro, it would have been loud AF.
Yeah.
It's a live show. It's a house show. You're not gonna have fireworks for a house.
Yeah,
right?
that would have been amazing though. If they cared enough about
would have been amazing if they did
Bridgeport.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, Bridgeport. But so we start with The Miz. And personally, I got to tell you, Skylar, you're going to be surprised when I say this, but The Miz, unrestricted, is still one of the best heel promos in the business.
Oh, it was so good. It was so fun.
He nailed it.
What did he talk about?
Well, he knocked out Bridgeport, and then he talked about how Logan Paul called his tiny balls. Everybody,
tiny balls, tiny balls.
Everybody chanted it.
Balls.
Oh, it was hilarious. Oh, man.
I have the biggest balls in all of you.
Yeah.
Tiny balls.
Oh, it was amazing. And there was
know what? Screw you guys. I'm leaving. Yay!
Yeah. Everybody left. He was about to go, and then he worked the crowd beautifully. I gotta say, it was so much fun. Hearing Miz just like authentic, because that felt authentic from the Miz. That's not something that you get a lot with him on television, and that was something
I
very.
imagine that the house shows are not going to be as restricted as the live shows are, because really they're there for the fun. They're not there to.
You could tell this whole show was a lot more freeform, and I think you could agree with that, AB, having watched two of the actual tape shows.
I enjoyed that there was like maybe one or two promotional commercials, but that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, everything just kept going, unless somebody just stuck around too long signing autographs, but we'll get to that. And so anyway.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the Miz goes to leave, and out comes AJ Styles to a huge pop. And AJ is still over like Rover, man. It's on his own, everybody still loves AJ Styles. Would you not agree that was one of the biggest pops of the night?
Oh yeah, they lost it. They went off.
And
so over, in fact, that he's not even on Summerslam card.
Which is a shame. A damn shame. Because, I don't know, AB, tell me about this match, but I thought this was the match of the night.
They were going at it. It was a really good match. They did the darn thing.
Yeah. AJ gets the advantage, and then the Miz takes over, and the Miz is just going back in, and he's aiming at the crowd, but it's a lot of back and forth. I will say this, the Miz looked a lot cleaner in this show than he did in a lot of other things that we see him do. There was not nearly as many botches as we get from the Miz. No figure four. So, big...
I mean, he hasn't done that gimmick in a long time, so I wouldn't expect it.
Well, I was happy not to see it. We once again seen AJ Ushi-Goroshi, which is where, I know you know this, Skylar, but AB, I know you remember the spot where AJ gets him at a fireman's carry, gets the Miz at a fireman's carry, and then lifts him up and just has his neck land on his knee.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. The one thing that Miz did botch is that AJ was trying to roll Miz through for the calf crusher, and the Miz was not going.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
So AJ just kind of took his leg and just was like, all right, crushing the calf this way then. But it still came through. Miz tried to do a skull-crushing finale. AJ countered it. Phenomenal forearm won it. It was a really solid opener. Miz held his own. I was really impressed by this match.
They did good. They did really good.
I know people have criticized The Miz over the years because he's not boring, he's not interesting as other people, and sometimes his promos get really scripted, but he's been doing this a long enough amount of time that you can't really criticize him. He's very solid. He's very, very solid.
Television does him an injustice, because this Miz is the Miz that I actually remember liking. And he was in good shape too. The Miz looked a lot more ripped than I remember him looking.
Yeah, he was looking really good.
Yeah, he was in really good shape. And, I really liked this opener. And it was, maybe the first 20 minutes of the show was this segment and match? Total? Yep. Something like that.
I mean, it's a good start for the show. And it's also another thing where it's just you have to enjoy AJ Styles while you can, because he's not wrestling forever.
It's not going to be very long before he hangs it up, and I know that's a fact. But he looked, from what I saw, he looked like he could still go another 5-10 years at the rate that his matches were. And I've noticed he's toned some stuff down as well. He's not as gung-ho and high-flying as he used to be, even just in those matches with John Cena. from 4 or 5 years ago. It's a different AJ, but he's doing it so that he can wrestle longer, and I really appreciate that. And this was a really good match. And then the match number 2.
Oh boy.
Ricochet comes out to a surprisingly good pop, I must say.
Yep.
Ricochet, people were in for Ricochet. His opponent was Gunther.
Gunther.
for the Intercontinental Championship.
Now, we've heard, of course, the stories of Gunther being jacked, but how jacked is he in real life?
Here's the thing, like, he toned things down a lot, you know, when he did that, like, as far as, like, actually his weight-wise, he's a very impressive specimen. He is an impressive specimen. And he looked absolutely fantastic here. And who is his side piece? Sky, you know this. I can't remember.
Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser. This dude, I really am a fan of. Because he was wonderful working the crowd as a manager as this match went on. I mean, Gunther obviously dominated. You know, it was a really good... but everything that Walter does, and I'm going to call him Walter because that's just more comfortable for me. Every little move that he does has purpose, and you could tell he knows exactly what to do and when to do it. And this was really on display in this match with Ricochet.
Well, these are the two guys that are left from Imperium, so of course they're going to have chemistry with each other.
Yeah, and they definitely did. And Ricochet is really good. You know, I've always known Ricochet to be really good, but unfortunately, he's just not. This is his role here. His role is this. You know, I don't know how else to put it, but jobbing to Walter and to the stars is really the best thing that he can do in WWE at this point. And he did a good job, but I will have to say he was sloppy. Ricochet was way sloppy in this match. And Sky, do you remember when in ACPW, when I had 3/4 of what Jeff Cobb's gimmick was him not leaving his feet?
Yeah.
Walter didn't leave his feet until an accidental bump that was in the last 2 minutes of the matchup, and then he got up and just straight up double booted Ricochet into the corner, Haas kicked him, and then power bombed him.
I'm pretty sure he was kind of pissed that he got taken off his feet.
Yeah.
Damn.
He was amazing. Everything that they say about Gunther / Walter is true from what I saw in this matchup. He was so good. And Kaiser was just so funny.
He didn't stop acting in character the whole time.
Yeah.
He was acting out. Every move he reacted to with like distaste. If his boy got hit, or just, I saw it, I knew it was going to happen. When his boy Gunther attacked, he's like, you see that? Ha
It was great. It was animated. Admittedly, it was animated, but it worked. The crowd was into it. The crowd was into the match. They loved Gunther, and you could tell why. I mean, he's a heel, so they're like booing him, but you could tell that there's like admiration for his ability.
It's one of those questions where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he becomes world champion.
Yeah. And
100%.
This was perfect for what he is. This match didn't take too long. Ricochet, for the most part, just got the crap beat out of him. But
that's the thing, is that Ricochet is not a bad wrestler. It's just that his ceiling is going to be mid-card babyface that does the job for higher guys.
Yeah. At least we think. Unless Triple H changes stuff around. But another thing to note, you know who the referee was for this match?
No.
Little Nate. Charles Robinson. And I was really impressed, and I said this to Amir at the time, that they actually had their referees, like legit, like Charles Robinson, and who is the other one? Rudy Charles was there. And there were a few different guys who they had as their officials, who I recognized as their officials. So it wasn't just a bunch of trainee referees for a house show. They actually had the big name refs, and I appreciate that.
I think Lil Nate is the head of officiating now that Mike Kyoto's gone.
Yep. Deserved.
So it makes sense because you need the head referee to be there to make sure that the referees that aren't as well trained get that experience.
Yeah, and he did a wonderful job. As always, it's Lil Nate. And
now, of course, there's a thing that you told me that happened directly after this match that got you really excited.
Oh man, this as far as like the tease here was real. The tease was real. So after the match, Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser attack Ricochet. Post-match bootage is what they got. And then out comes Big Daddy Drew. And the prospect of Drew McIntyre versus Gunther ruffled my jimmies. My word.
You were excited at the possibility of big men bumping?
Give me that match.
Speaking of big men bumping, I'll be right back.
Yes. And so while
Abizzle was so excited about the possibility of big men bumping, he has to take a break.
Yes, he has to change his pants as in anticipation.
How cheered was Drew when he came out with Gunther opposite?
Oh, people were excited. Drew got a big pop because the prospect, everyone knows that Drew is as talented as he is. Everybody knows this. And everyone now with the recognition of how good Gunther is, the prospect of seeing Drew McIntyre and Gunther and how great that match would be, not only on a technical level, but on a psychological level. These two guys know how to work. And it would be quite a matchup to get them, but alas, 'twas but a tease, because they have a little bit of a stare down, and then Gunther and Ludwig leave.
Well, it's the heel thing.
I know.
I'm gonna fight you, I'm not gonna fight you.
I know. And then we got, I don't know how much I loved this bit. So Drew McIntyre is like, oh, I love Bridgeport. I love you, Bridgeport, because I'm Big Daddy Drew. And on SmackDown, I'm supposed to face somebody, but I can't, because I want to face him right here, right now. And that person was Sheamus. And he calls him out, he doesn't do anything. He's like, I'll stay here until I get it. And then all of a sudden, Sheamus's music plays, and God, that entrance is fun live.
Sheamus's entrance is always fun live.
Yeah, it was great because, I don't know, I like nearly lost my voice just screaming, Fella! It was great. And he comes down, he still looks ridiculous, but I've got nothing bad to say about Sheamus. Only that he couldn't draw because the booking was not in his favor. And
yeah, but I mean, so then the next match was Sheamus versus Drew.
Well, they got into war of words because Sheamus is like, oh, you want to fight me there, boy? Well, you're not going to get to fight me. I'll fight you, but not tonight because I'm Sheamus and I don't want to, basically. And so McIntyre is like, all right, you don't want to fight? Fine, I'll fight anyway. But basically, they had a better exchange of words. Again, more freeform because I never felt anything on this show was scripted. None of it.
Stop.
I didn't feel like any of that was scripted. And so Drew McIntyre and Sheamus get into it, and Drew hits him with a Glasgow kiss and a Claymore and leaves Sheamus laying. Sheamus walks to the back, Drew McIntyre, he signs a few autographs and, does, that good baby face stuff, kissed his babies. It was nice. I
enjoyed it.
It was a WWE segment.
Yes, it was.
But it was a fun segment. Like, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, they always work well together. That's why they've wrestled against each other so much.
Yes.
I was so angry. I was so upset when they were just like, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to fight. We're going to fucking fight. And then, nah, we're not going to fight.
Yeah, man. Oh, no.
Hey, it gets heat, man. It gets heat. And the other thing, too, is that they had that match on SmackDown yesterday. Drew McIntyre defeated Sheamus. Now he's officially the number one contender for the Universal title.
That's right. Wait,
now,
what?
Of course, the next show is Clash at the Castle in Wales. So, of course, Drew McIntyre was going to win that match.
Right. Well, so we think. So.
Well, we'll see who Drew wrestled against. But, of course, Drew, the babyface, was going to win and go against Wales. Can Drew still be world champion?
I think so. I mean, based on the reaction that he got in Bridgeport, he's still over. I think that the problem is what people see at large on these TV shows is not indicative of what they're capable of when you go to see them at an actual event. It's a different tone. It's a different atmosphere than what you get from television. And that's something that Drew had to fight really hard as champion in 2020 because there was nobody there. But now that he's in this position, I think that he can carry this momentum going forward because from what it sounded like Bridgeport was ready to see Drew on top again. You know.
All right, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
What was the next match?
The next match, out comes Damian Priest to a reaction.
What song did he come out to?
I don't even remember. I think it was the Judgment Day theme.
So they're still using the song from the band that Edge uses, right?
Yes, they're still using Alter Bridge, even though Edge is no longer with the group, and it is shown.
That makes no sense.
Well, I feel for Damian Priest here, because I don't think that this position was his fault, especially with the way that this match was. So Damian Priest comes out, and I didn't know who he was facing. You know, I didn't get a program or anything like that. So everybody waited, and out came Rey Mysterio, and you want to talk about babyface pops.
Oh, it was so exciting. I was so stoked.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio!
Yeah. I had not seen Rey Mysterio since that Northeast Wrestling matchup where he tore his bicep off the bone in a match with Joey Mercury and I forget who else. But he looked great. He looked absolutely great for this match. He's 47 years old. The amount of stuff this guy's still able to do is hella impressive.
You know what's amazing? The Rey Mysterio, when I first went to SmackDown at Bridgeport, Rey Mysterio was there.
Yeah.
So the fact to see him again at the same place this many years later, I was stoked. That was so cool.
Yeah. And he's still over. Nobody
fanned out on that.
Nobody luchas like Rey Mysterio, man.
Lucha do the luchin, man. That 619 was so nice.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Rey is 47 at this point. Like, he how fast does he move in real life?
He was moving at the way that he was moving in 97.
Yeah, he's fast, man. He's well-conditioned and fast. He knows how to use his body 100%.
Yeah, you know, for the bajillion surgeries that dude's had and the shape that he's in, it's honestly inhuman how much he resembles the Rey Mysterio of old, even at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Now, question, was Dominic Mysterio?
No, he was not there. It was just Rey, as it was better for it. It was definitely better for it.
Okay, well, how was the match?
Well, the match itself was fine. I liked when Rey and Dominic did a collar and elbow tie-up. Or Rey went for a collar and elbow.
You mean Priest?
Yes, I do. Rey went for a collar and elbow tie-up, and instead of getting the collar and elbow tie-up, Damian Priest just hoffs him. Just big-ass boot. And down goes Rey. But then the match itself from there was just 619 was cool.
Yeah.
And there was a choke slam that was the finish of the match was Rey won with a roll-up counter when Damian Priest tried to go for a choke slam. That was it.
Man. Yeah.
I'm sure the crowd was still happy that Rey won.
Oh, yeah. The crowd were into Rey Mysterio. They just didn't care for Damian Priest. And
that's a little disappointing because Damian Priest, when he came on to the main roster, it was like, okay, there's something there if you can get it out of him, but they haven't been able to get it out of him since that series of matches with Sheamus last year.
Yeah, and it's just, it really has not been, the people didn't really care. But I will say this, I noticed this, there was no ring bell, the ring bell was automated. They had the ring bell from the actual audio PA.
That's true, they did.
Fake ring bell.
Yeah.
They used the fake national anthem, too.
Yeah, they did the national anthem, and some girl was singing it, but not in the arena.
I was looking everywhere for her. I was like, who's singing this right here?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, AB, because the national anthem, that was a mock. Because they're like,
everybody was looking everywhere.
Everybody stand for the national anthem. They had the American flag on all the Trons, but they didn't bother to mention that there was an actual flag in the building, in the corner of the building. So like 2/3 of it was everybody kind of looking around for an actual flag.
And so I was looking everywhere, man. I was like, where? Oh.
Like, where am I supposed to look? They're just like, everybody just stand and just do it.
Everybody take your hats off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous. But then, also another thing to add, speaking of the Trons, and AB, you got to back me up on this one. The main Tron, the one that, like, kind of like the basketball stadium Tron, the one that's, like, in the center of the arena that's right above the ring, I don't know whose fault it was, but it was honestly, it was blurry and just, like, slow phasing and lagging all night. And it was, like, it was honestly irritating to the eyes. Like, you couldn't watch it. Which made it kind of difficult to, like, see some of the stuff that was going on if you were trying to look at it closer up, like see the facial expressions, because you look up and you immediately you're like, it's like wearing glasses that you had when you were like 14, and then you're like, the prescription's so different and your eyes just get like, you get headaches. It was rough. I don't know whether it was Bridgeport's fault or WWE's fault, but I'm gonna blame Kevin Dunn.
You gotta blame Beavertooth.
That's right.
I blame Vince.
Yeah.
Even though he
You can
wasn't
blame
there.
him too.
Yeah.
I blame Vince.
He's an easy scapegoat now. And it turns out that
what happened after? Well, okay, so what happened after Rey Mysterio and Damian Priest?
Well, this is where I thought the show started to take a turn. Because,
Yeah, they did a freaking intermission.
Well, no, we didn't get. It's not yet. We're almost at the intermission.
Oh.
We have the Fatal
Almost,
4-Way
never
women's
mind.
match first.
Right. I knew I missed something. Yep.
It was the Raw Women's title. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Carmella.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, you told me about this Fatal 4-Way, and when I heard the lineup, I'm just like, okay, they're going for a whole ball of something.
well, I'll tell you
It
what.
was a visual crowd pleaser.
The match was bad, but the women were fine.
Oh my God.
Man. Particularly, I gotta say.
Okay.
Oh.
First off, I'm gonna ask that both of you do not jack off at the same time.
We're not.
I'm sorry. It's already happened.
But I'll tell you what,
It's already happened.
AB and I would be more in sync than the synced up Irish whip clothesline that they tried to do.
Yeah. So true.
'Cause they,
All right, now together now.
they messed that up bad.
Wait, who?
I forget. It was the baby faces of this. I believe it was.
So the women, but Bianca and Asuka.
Yeah.
I
and
love
then-
the three. I enjoyed the three girls stack up stank face.
Oh well, we'll get to that. We will get to that. So the first thing I said was Carmella's hot AF in person. But AB,
Yeah.
you said to me about 2/3 of the way through this match, tell me what you think of Carmella's wrestling.
Oh man. She's just good thing she's pretty.
And there you have it.
There's nothing else there, is it?
There's nothing else to say.
Well, I mean, other than the fact that she is, in fact, Corey Graves' girlfriend.
Well,
boyfriend thing.
I have to say that, though. Carmella is a lot more palatable with Corey Graves not on commentary in your ear. Because him busting a literal nut every time she comes out because they're together is one of the most annoying things that they do on that program. And but they do this botch synchro Irish whip where the baby faces get the heels, and then it's just the timing's off, and then one of them hits one thing and the other hits the other thing, and it just degenerates. Carmella's kicks were terrible. They didn't even get close to landing. You know, she was whiffing and a half. And then I believe it was Carmella in the corner, and Asuka goes into the corner and botches a stink face because her head is like above Carmella. You could see Carmella's head below Asuka, and she's just kind of like shimmy dancing around. She looked like Alex Wright, where she was just dancing around. I'm like, how do you botch a stink face? Asuka,
I couldn't. It was so
how
funny.
do you botch a stink face? And further proving, Sky, that everything we said about Asuka is still true. Then, but I will say, backbreaker game was strong on this night. We saw a lot of backbreakers.
Lots of them.
Broke
my back.
Yeah, mine too. And then Becky goes for the leg drop, her jumping leg drop on the second rope. Now, Bianca, instead of being on the top rope, is on the second rope when Becky does it, and it looks way better that way. I will have to say, if they do it from the second rope, I like the move. But when they do it from the top rope, it just looks bad. But, and then we get, I can't believe they did this. So, Bianca rains down 10 punches to Carmella, goes for like 8 or 9 punches to Carmella in the corner, and the crowd is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then Bianca does a backflip and Asuka charges in. And then when Asuka charges in, Bianca gets up, and now Carmella and Asuka are both in the corner, and Bianca again starts to rain down 10 punches on both of them, quote unquote.
Yeah.
She gets to 6. Flips back, Becky comes charging in, Bianca sends Becky into the corner. Now all 3 of the women are in the corner, and Bianca goes up and all 3 women in the corner are all holding hands above their head, and Bianca does 10 punches to the 6 hands of the 3 women in the corner like it was supposed to hit all 3's head like a freaking idiot.
Oh my god. That was funny.
It was bad. That was so funny. It was so bad. This
got a pile up in the corner left.
Is this making you want to watch this match, Skylar?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm so Oh, but it got better. You want to you think the degeneracy was bad there. So then Bianca has all of them, and they all just kind of stagger and sell. And now Bianca is there, and now all 3 women, Carmella and Asuka and Becky, are all laying like planks in the middle of the ring, like that scene in Goldmember when Fat Bastard is gonna jump over the sumo wrestlers, and all the sumo wrestlers are like, ah! As Fat Bastard goes to run and do that wired flip. They all stand there as Becky jumps over, or Bianca jumps over all of them to do her springboard backflip and land on all 3.
Yup. They all lined up so perfectly too.
Yeah.
I mean, they all fell in the perfect position.
Yeah, who would have thought that would have been? Well, no,
that would happen?
2 of them did, and then I think it was Carmella forgot, and then she kind of like squeezed over.
Yep, swarmed over.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, Sky, are you getting excited to watch this match?
No.
And then
no,
this match was just. And then the final part of this is that Bianca finally hit the KOD on Mella, and that was that. And the crowd was kind of happy, but the crowd was also kind of confused because they liked the pro wrestling parts of this, but as soon as it turned into a fatal 4-way degeneracy, I thought the crowd lost a bit of interest.
I mean, it really just sounds like a whole heap of nothing. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about each woman individually for a second. You already said that Carmella is what she is at this point.
Not great.
I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Banging.
Banging, but also uncoordinated as fuck.
Talentless and
Asuka
banging.
is a terrible in person that she is on TV, huh?
Yeah. That's everything. I got to see it with my own 2 eyes. And I can say from my own chicken lips that Asuka still sucks complete ass.
And then, how was Becky? Because Becky's the interesting one to me.
I thought Becky was over kind of as a babyface there. The people liked Becky.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought that was strange, but I think this crowd in Bridgeport was appreciative of talent, more so than the personalities. And they recognized that Becky is on another level than either of the 2 people we just mentioned. And then Bianca got a pretty good reaction, but I thought that Becky got more cheers, personally.
I can hear that.
But
I mean, that's one of the things that Becky is. with Charlotte basically gone doing who knows what with Andrade, Sasha Banks, and Bayley still injured, and who knows if she's going to return. Becky's the only one left, the horsewoman.
Yeah, and, you know, I think they took so long trying to build new stars with them that the crowd, as into Bianca as they were and are, they're still into her, but it was just, I think this was just a more pro-Becky crowd on this night. Until Bianca signed every autograph of anyone ever.
Oh, yeah.
Literally for
funny.
5 minutes, and then so to the point where the referee, I think it was John Cone, ran up and was like, "Get the fuck back in here!" And she's
Come on,
like,
"Let's go, we gotta go."
So then Bianca runs around the ring like, high five, pound it, pound it. All right, and then she ran out.
The ref's like standing there, like, "Come on, man!"
Oh man.
I mean, to be fair, Bianca is the ultimate babyface, and she's like that in real life.
I know.
So.
She's such a crowd pleaser. It was just so funny because it's like, we got more of a show to do. But then, you know what? They should have just let her do it, because then after that was the intermission.
Yup.
Well, they had to set up for the other matches, or they had to set up the ring for other stuff, so I can understand why.
Yeah,
What a momentum killer, though.
Like, it really was. It derailed the whole show.
Yep.
You know, I think that if they had just kept going, they wouldn't have had nearly as much reaction loss as they did for the next several matches. And
well, what was the intermission? How long was the intermission? I
don't know, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, like 15 almost minutes, about 15, 30.
Everybody go pee, get a hot dog.
I mean, the whole thing is that you gotta stretch, you gotta go get some food, you gotta use the bathroom, and then you can be ready for the second half of the show. It's not bad depending on what you start with after the intermission, because the match that you start after the intermission has to be good and keep the momentum up.
Yeah, and this was not it. You know.
So what did you guys do during intermission?
What did we do during intermission? Do you even remember?
I believe we I think we just sat there.
Yeah, I think we just stood up a little bit, you know, and then we're like, all right, we'll just keep going, you know, just stretch the legs out a little bit. And, hey, B, I like those pigtails you got. Yeah, I see them. You don't see them, folks, but I see them. Anyway, looks like Mickey Mouse.
This looks like Disney now.
Yeah, but we're not sponsored by Disney. But anyway, but you know who we are sponsored by? A perfect segue. While we're at intermission, you know who we are sponsored by? That would be AB Productions CT. AB, tell us what's going down in the world of AB Productions CT.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to post to Instagram. I got some photos. I was telling the Instagram people that I'm still alive. And guess what? We got stuff coming, y'all.
We do.
We got ourselves a new album coming.
No.
We got another new album coming.
That's right. Not one, but two.
And you know, not one, but two. And you know what? We may have some SoundCloud releases unofficially released. Too.
There's a lot on that SoundCloud playlist, man. There's a lot there that is not part of the actual anthology, if you will. All the stuff that I talk about, folks. I talk about recovering. I talk about Mixed Bag and Bearman and Retreat and recovering and the Wax Apocalypse and all that jazz. I talk about it all the time. I talk about Live as One, which is the single that released on AB's birthday, which is the single for Just a Bit More, which is coming out on the 14th. And then we've also got October 14th, that is, and then Mixed Bag 2 coming out in November. That's going to be another big part. AB and I have been working through quite a lot these past 6 to 8 months to bring this stuff to you, and it is going to be a tremendous accumulation of the past 4 years, the culmination of the past 4 years brought to you here at the end of this year in 2022, when there's so much uncertain about the world. There is one constant, there is one guarantee, and that is that you are going to have a great time listening to ABPCT.
Yeah.
And anything more you want to add, AB? I mean, is there something specific we want to look at?
Y'all need to just go stream everything. And then, don't tell your friends to stream everything.
That's
and then
right.
Share that to your friends.
And that's Abizzle or White Knux on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, and in the SoundCloud has got a lot of different, off the beaten path stuff. And we've got anthology. We got canon on canon on canon in there, and we're just blasting off. And that's just how we've done. We're an underground sensation, but you can join that entertainment revolution with AB Productions CT.
Yeah, baby.
Alrighty, good stuff. Now, let's get out of the intermission. What's the match afterwards?
Well,
what's our cooldown or heat up?
You'll probably want to keep your headphones on listening to ABP instead of what this match was, because it's the Unified Tag Team Championships, and the only 2 tag teams that WWE has. It is Shitty and Poopy, the Street Profits, versus the Usos. Surprise, surprise.
So, hey, Bizzle, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Are you offended by the fact that the Street Profits are a watered-down version of you?
Honestly, the Street Profits aren't a watered-down version of me. They're a watered-down version of Crime Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with like maybe a 5th of the personality.
Yeah, they wish they couldn't even meet an 1/8 of my skill, baby.
They literally,
you saw me live. You saw me in the ring.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, baby.
And folks, if you want to know the context of that, please follow Colonial Impact Wrestling, which is another branch of our multimedia empire. And,
yeah, baby.
That you can take a look at. We've got a lot of those. The link's in the description. But this matchup, the most exciting part of it was the collar and elbow tie-up that they did.
Honestly, I guess we'll get to that, but my favorite part was the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was over.
Yeah, that and because they brought out, we'll get there.
Yeah.
They brought some fellas out.
Yeah, well, it was actually a little ridiculous. I mean, the matchup itself. Skylar, have you ever seen the Street Profits and the Usos wrestle?
Yes.
Then you've seen this matchup.
They were so close. The Street Profits almost had it, too.
Yeah,
it looked like, at least.
Well, Montez Ford, there was a moment where both of the Usos were on the outside, and Montez Ford was literally doing his best Kenny Omega impression. He was just prissy prancing and dancing around the ring. Just
he was extra.
Yep, boopity boopity boop. Look at me, I'm Montez Ford, just prissy prancing, sissy dancing, because I'm a fucking idiot. And
I just think that's the guy that is married to Bianca Belair.
Yeah, that's the one that's grabbing that big old braid every night. And no wonder his frog splash is so high. I bet he's done that in the bedroom. Everything Ford does, everything that Montez Ford did felt cartoony. This is where we left pro wrestling and got into the sports entertainment. This is where they started doing the silly stuff.
This is where Jim Carrey stepped into the ring.
Yeah, I wish. Jim Carrey in the ring would have been better than this guy.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a cartoon. The crowd did not give a fuck.
Yeah, no.
So wait, hold on. They didn't care about the Street Profits?
No. They didn't. I thought the Usos got a bigger face pop than they did.
That's surprising.
Not really. Not to me, it's not.
Probably because of Roman Reigns, right?
Well, yeah, I think that is a big factor in that. I
didn't realize they were related, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, we're the one." I'm like, "That's what Roman Reigns does." And they're like, "Yeah, they're related." I was like, "Oh,
yeah, they sure are related." Idea. The bloodline, a key component to National Wrestling League's professional wrestling story.
Yes.
But
anyways, the whole thing is that this match I've seen.
Montez Ford until the finish.
High energy hijinks.
Until the finish. And I will say, just one comeback, if you could call it that, to their credit, did just one. But then...
Well, hold on, a question. How was Angelo Dawkins?
He's just as bland as he is on television.
It's so bad because Montez Ford has so much personality, if you want to call it that.
Wait, I've got the perfect comparison. Okay, you ready for a deep cut? Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford is like that episode of Cat Dog where the dog just started reading and got that gigantic brain and he was the smartest dude on the planet, and then Cat just turned into like an absolutely mentally deficient schlub, and then Kat has to go and read more books, and then they like push the brain in and it goes into the other side. That's Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. All the personality is in Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins is just what's left.
That's really sad. That's really, really sad.
Yeah. But then the finish. The match isn't even over, and then we hear, she.
Yep. Yes, we did. Get off my ring, please. Get out of my ring, please.
Okay, I gotta say, that was very impressive you were able to do that for that long.
Yeah, thank you. And
Good stuff.
so then the Alpha Academy come in, and, well, no, they don't. Just the music plays. Shitty and Poopy did like the Scooby-Doo, and then the Usos rolled them up, 1, 2, 3. And that was that. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And then they come in and they cut a promo. You know, does Chad Gable, and Otis is there, and that was the guy I wanted to see live. and the best line that Chad Gable used, I have to say, Chad Gable was good on the mic. He said, "Bridgeport's crime rate is bigger than its graduation rate."
Got him.
The funny part is everyone was like, "Boo!" But that's actually true. Boo!
Wait, you can't talk shit about our city. You're not from here.
Yeah, and then he sends out Otis to go face the Street Profits, and the Street Profits get the better of them, and then they celebrate, and people didn't care, and they sign some solo cups for some kids, and then they leave. And God, the crowd was just like, make this stop. It went on way too long. But such it is with the tag division. But it wasn't going to get better.
Right.
My mic keeps going off.
Do you think the Street Profits could have been good if they had spent more time in NXT and, I don't know, maybe developed proper before they were called up?
I think they needed guidance from real tag teams. And that's something that WWE just doesn't offer. Unfortunately, that's just something WWE just doesn't offer. And I wish that they had somebody that they could learn under, like a Tully Blanchard or Arn Anderson or, any number of guys, even like somebody like Brett, just to come in and do a class with them and kind of teach them some things. Because they can do moves, but that's it. They can do moves and oversell, and that's about as much as they've got. And
okay, fair enough.
So,
oh man.
So then we have Ronda Rousey. We have Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at this point when we all looked at each other and said, "Let's go to the merch table."
Okay, now here's my question.
Merch table.
Is Liv Morgan hot?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Ronda Rousey did not get the reaction she thought she was going to get.
Because people didn't care about her.
Because I saw a lot of people getting up and going to the merch table.
That was the time to do it.
Yeah.
That was the time.
It was a bathroom break match.
It was pretty much a general consensus that we're like, nah, we're good. But I will say this. I critique Liv Morgan for not being that good of a wrestler, but God damn it if she wasn't over. People liked Liv Morgan.
Right. Liv Morgan, to her credit, people really, really like her. Like, they really like her. And
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's tough because she doesn't offer much in the ring. I mean, if you've watched her matches, she's very sloppy.
Yeah.
She hasn't really improved since her NXT days. Liv Morgan is a shorter, Liv Morgan is a shorter babyface version of Carmella.
Yeah, but at least there's some level of in-ring charisma that people are gravitating to. And I can't quite explain it. It's kind of like one of those things where you don't know why it's over, but it's over. And good for her, but this match didn't even become a match because we were like peeking through the curtain, making the security guard kind of pissed because we were peeking through the curtain. Because
close the damn curtain.
It was at the merch table, and then the curtain would open just a little bit, and AB and I would peek through, and then we'd go back to our boys who were like buying merch, and she'd just come over and be like, "Shh," and just go.
You shall not watch this.
And we were like, I thought she was, and I think AB, you said it, like she closed the curtain, and I was like, nah, she's doing us a favor.
Yep.
But people do not care about Ronda at all. And then before they could have this match, Natalya and Shayna Baszler interrupt, and they, Natalya does her usual raw, and Shayna goes, "I'm Shayna," and Ronda's like, "Hey, do you guys want to match with Tag Me Liv? You match now tonight, Bridgeport?" And everyone's like, "Yay!" And so they had a tag match, which we barely watched. And that pretty much was it. Liv pinned Shayna Baszler. And that was it. Oh my God. So is there anything you want to add to the 2 seconds of this match we watched, JB? Or anybody? Hello? Where are you people? What happened? Folks, I think I've bitten into a York peppermint patty because I'm now standing on a frozen mountaintop alone. And I don't know what has happened to either my co-host or my special guest. Hello? 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 Well, I don't know what's happened here. I'm not sure what has happened here, but we have apparently lost Skylar, and we've also lost AB, so I'm going to just continue this as best as I could, and hopefully they'll be able to jump back into the mix here in just a second.
All right, you can hear me, right?
Oh, hello. You're alive.
Sorry, something was just happening at SummerSlam, and I just wanted to watch this.
Well, because Liv and Ronda versus Natty and Shayna was just so interesting that you wanted to catch more of them on SummerSlam.
No, we'll talk about SummerSlam when we talk about SummerSlam. But yeah, I'm officially going to review it.
Yeah, well, we'll see I'll definitely have to catch it and watch it. I've seen little glimpses of people and returns. We're not going to spoil it here, folks. You're going to have to just stay tuned. But in any case, so then what happens here at the finish, because Liv Morgan pins Shayna, and the crowd eats it up, and then Liv Morgan takes the mic.
Yes, D.
Oh, my God. And she goes, at SummerSlam, it's Ronda and Liv Morgan. May every woman who is the best win.
Could she not just say, may the best woman win?
No, that's literally, she said, may every woman who is the best win. And I just sat there going, fuck terrible. Me. God damn. That was just brutal. Absolutely brutal. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, I don't know why she's over when she's that bad on the microphone and that bad in the ring. But for some reason, people like her. But
okay,
this is where now we're going to start kind of training our way to the end here, because at this point, we were all kind of gassed and we were, I had kind of soured on the show given how the last two matches were and who the people were involved. And then the final matchup is a Bridgeport street fight between Seth Rollins and Riddle. Seth Rollins' entrance is awesome. Seth doing his little flagellation, who cares? But the burn it down is still over. I will say that. The entrance is still over.
The burn down is going to be over, but there's nothing else in that entrance that resembles why it was good in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And then Riddle's entrance, I don't know when they changed his music, but it's garbage.
Oh my! They changed it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was bad. It was just straight up bad, and because it was so bad, it was like nobody really cared. And also, it's a Bridgeport street fight, so let's have everybody come out in ring gear. Riddle's got no shoes. He's got wearing the same stuff he's wearing, and I immediately knew. Yeah, I immediately knew that this was not going to be fun. And also, because Riddle is doing a whole lot, and Seth actually mentioned this about Riddle, that Riddle's basically doing all Orton stuff, it just made me miss Orton. It made me miss Randy. Because I love Randall Keith. I love Rand Ortiz.
Rand Ortiz! Yeah, he's missing without Rand Ortiz.
Yeah, he was not very good. Of course, down the scooter comes Riddle. He's driving his little scooter. And I will say the thing that was cool about this was that the main event lighting that they did, they shut all the other lights off except the one in the ring. That was cool.
I really enjoyed that. It was nice.
That added to the ambiance of it. However, the second that Seth pulled a kendo stick out, I was like, hey guys, you want to beat the traffic? And nobody said no. And I think that's a pretty good indication of how I feel about street fights. And by the way, if it were an actual fight in Bridgeport, if there was a street fight in Bridgeport, people be dead.
There should be someone thrown in the bay.
Yeah, someone have been shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they should have did last night. That night.
They should have thrown, you know what, Walter, or who is it? Ronda Rousey should have thrown Liv's title belt in the Long Island Sound. Like John Cena and Edge in 2006.
That would have been awesome.
But that didn't happen. And instead of watching the matchup that was going to be another 25, 30 minutes, we just decided to dip. And I don't regret the decision. And we beat the traffic. And I'm happy that we beat the traffic because I did not want to get stuck in Bridgeport just waiting for a line of cars annoyed about the main event to leave.
Yeah.
And there were also quite a lot of people who left during Ronda and Liv. There was a steady stream of people leaving from that point on, I thought.
Yeah.
So it was...
Which is kind of a shame because if you're really compelling, like actually really compelling, you make people stay.
Yeah, I feel bad because Seth is that compelling. I just have no interest in Riddle, nor do I have interest in sterile street fights.
Yeah, I don't like Riddle or sterile street fights.
You know, and that's what we were
going to get. Riddles suck.
Yeah.
You hate Riddles. Yeah. We're in the raps now.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, we do rhymes.
We walk up on Riddles and we street fight those Riddles into the ground.
That's right. And that's how we do it all day, every day. But on this day, we were not going to watch Riddle.
No.
And I'm thankful for it. I'm pretty sure that Riddle won, but not like I cared.
I just have an internal feeling to leave when he kicks off his flip-flops and he's barefoot. I was like, ew.
Yeah.
You know how many bodies are out there? Your nasty feet. Ew.
No, I don't mind that.
Yeah, we just dealt with 2 years of COVID. Do I want your sweaty flip-flops in my face?
Literally, man. I'm like, nobody wants to catch that.
I don't mind that, but I do mind it when you're in a street fight. Unless you're literally cannot afford shoes, you are not fighting someone in a street fight without shoes. That's a fact. It's like, just, can you try to sell the fact that it's a street fight? But it is what it is. But all in all, it was still a really fun time. Like, we had a good time with the guys we went. We had a fun time, on the way back. Just driving back. It was, maybe half an hour from your house, AB?
Yeah, just about. It wasn't really that far.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all. And then we kind of sat and we talked around a little bit. We talked about, the potential of WWE and AEW collabing because, we went there with March, so they're obviously going to be doing dream stuff like that. And the phrase, I forget who it was who Steve mentioned to me as we were walking back into the lot. It was somebody, was it Matt Riddle? It might have been, he was like Matt Riddle versus Orange Cassidy. Get hype, Sky.
Why not just have that be a tag team?
Why
not just have that be a tag team?
You're probably not wrong there. One kicks up flip-flops and the other just puts his hands in his pockets.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Flip-floppity pockets. That's their name.
Baby. I like it.
The Floppin' Pockets.
All the flipping pockets.
Oh, man. So, that was Saturday, and it was also billed as Saturday night's main event. So, it was the first Saturday night's main event I've ever been to. But sadly, it did not have the neon lighting that the original sets did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully you can go to a better show in the future. So, overall final thoughts, do you have a grade for it, or do you just want to not grade it because it was just a show?
Do you have a rating out of 10, AB? I didn't really think through that.
Oh, I wasn't even going out of 10. I was going for, like, I'd give them a B, a solid B for
For Bianca Belair.
There you go.
no. If the match that started the show was not the match of the night, I'd probably like it better. As far as me, I don't know if I'd necessarily give it a number grade as well. I would say that it was like B minus, C plus. You know, because like it started off really good. You know, you got the first 4 questions of the Scantron right, but then you missed the next like 7.
Just the intermission, if that really killed it for me.
It did. It killed it for a lot of people. Yeah, but you know what? Maybe AB, you and I have to go to an AEW show now because you've gone to SmackDown. You've gone to Raw.
Yeah, there's a chance.
You've done a live show. We have to see what this train wreck looks like live.
Agreed. Steve hit me up today and said, "Hey, you want to go to the next AEW show coming up?"
Where is it?
I haven't responded yet.
Well, you find out where it is, and we might do that.
I'll tell you right now.
It's what a tease, folks. So this might be this might be just a part 3 of an ongoing saga of reactions.
That's right. I don't know the date.
To live shows.
Doesn't show on my phone.
So stay tuned, folks, because we might see more here. Skylar, anything else you want to add to what we've done here today? Your thoughts on our show that we got to see?
I mean, it sounds like it would have been a decent time, although it's one of those things where it's WWE. You kind of know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be,
Yeah. And
it's going to be one of those things where it's just... The show is what the show is at this point.
Yeah, and I got to tell you this.
The changes that we are hoping for aren't going to happen right away.
Right. And I will say this. It's a lot more fun going to a wrestling show with your homies than it would be just going to a wrestling show or watching a wrestling show alone.
Agree. With the homies, it's always the best way
It makes for a more enjoyable time because the focus isn't always necessarily on the product. You know, because a lot of it is like, I mean, you're seeing the people do stuff in the ring, but half of it is you turn into the guy next to you and cracking a joke, and that's half of the fun of the show is just going for that. So I think that's also another part that factors in. It was a good time. I had a great time. I thank AB for inviting me to it, and we are definitely going to be going to more shows in the future.
Well, do you want to know my surprise at the end of this?
Yes, please, reveal.
Please do.
Well, you guys have been going to the show on the East Coast, and maybe I should go to a show on the West Coast.
Baby,
I believe you should.
Yeah.
They're hosting a Monday Night Raw on September 19th in San Jose. I'm really debating going to it or not, because I actually have never been to a wrestling show.
Oh, you gotta go then. You have to go then. So we could flip the script, and I can interview you about your time, and then we'd have 2 separate recounts of Monday Night Raws in 2022. That sounds fantastic.
Word.
It just depends. I'll let you guys know, but the only way you're going to find out is to like, share, and subscribe to the Court-Martail podcast to Abizzle and White Knux. Hold on, let me say it again. ABIZZLE and White Knux. White, WHITE
space
NKNUX.
That's right. And that's the 2 of us. And
you gotta like all that stuff.
That's right. And folks,
you gotta like all that stuff before you can go to my show review, because I think I'll do it. You know what? I'll do it.
Yeah, there you go, folks. Woo! So now you've got something to look forward to beyond a SummerSlam review that we're gonna do next week. We were going to tease it, but we might as well just let it happen. It's going to happen. So SummerSlam 2022, the first pay-per-view in the Triple H era of creative. You get to see it. You get to hear all about it. The week after that, ACPW and NWL, and then our show review, our old school pay-per-view review, because we're still doing that here in the month of August, so stay tuned for that as well. And then September, you're already hearing what's going on, a jam-packed time for the Court-Martail podcast. AB, thank you so much for being on the show. As always, great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is dope.
Skylar, you are a fantastic host. The best thing that this podcast ever had happen was you being on part of it. And I appreciate you taking the wheel for this show.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I've enjoyed hosting this show, but next week, hosting duties go back to you right after this commercial break.